Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's fantastic you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video from Darlene Zschech, and we looked at a song that has brought hope to millions around the world since it was written in 1993. So I trust you found that one an encouragement as well. Well, we're going from there to a pop duo today. These two guys were formed. They met each other in 1970 in Philadelphia, and as it turns out, they were both there for a band competition with different bands, and they kind of met each other and thought, maybe there's something here. And so when Darryl Hall and John Oates met, that they formed Hall and Oates, or as they like to be called, Darryl Hall and John Oates. And certainly because they were both very talented songwriters, Darryl Hall's got a pretty amazing voice, and John Oates has just got a really cool way about him as well. Between 1972 and 2006, there's been 18 studio albums, 11 live albums, 27 compilation albums, which tends to happen when you're as big as these guys have been. Lots of videos, 63 singles. I couldn't find how many albums they'd sold worldwide, but in the US it's around 13 million. And there have been 5 #1 singles and 2 consecutive top 10 albums. That's how popular these guys have been. Now, when you look at the output of their albums and when they were released, there was one a year in the 1970s. So if you put songwriting together with live performance and promotion and all the rest of the stuff that you need to do, certainly you start to see how talented these guys actually were to be able to keep it going as much as they did. So the last album came out in 2006, and so certainly a very busy period for these guys. And you know, the music industry themselves have acknowledged these guys as significant because they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. Characterised the late 1970s in particular and the 1980s with the hair and the video clips and the great voices and the cleverly crafted pop songs, the ability to be able to resonate with their audiences and to sort of take us on a bit of a journey. Because Hall and Oates are absolutely, when they were in their prime, these guys were absolutely massive. And every time a Hall and Oates song came out, which seemed to be quite often, the world would stand up and take notice. Now, I was looking at Hall and Oates. I should say Darryl Hall and John Oates because that's what they like to be known as. Hall and Oates sounds a bit, like we're hauling oats. It's a bit strange. But Darryl Hall and John Oates, when I was looking at their songs, I thought, well, I had to go for my favourite one of theirs, and that is Kiss on My List. This came off the Voices album of 1981. And I thought we'd have a little bit of a look at this today. The lyrics of this song are a bit of a balance between the fact that his friends are telling him, look, you just got to get over the girl that you've been with, and him singing, yeah, but, you know, the Kiss is on my list, and it's what I miss when I turn out the light. He knows he kind of has to move on, but at the same time, he can't. I think this is where I want to go today, and I want to, talk a little bit about grief, because what this songwriter is facing in this song is grief. There's been a loss, and he's missing the person desperately. It doesn't matter how much he talks to himself, how much his friends talk to him. He still comes back to the same old line, your kiss is on my list, particularly when I turn out the light. And I can't shake that no matter what I do. I really, really can't. I want to shake it. I know I need to shake it. But I just can't for some reason. think about grief. Now, grief comes around when there has been a loss of some sort. So whether it's a loss of a job or loss of a friend, loss of a pet even, I suppose in the most normal form is the loss of a partner, a life partner when they have died, and or could be a loss of a partner when their relationship comes to an end. I'm thinking with this particular song, it's that second one. The relationship has ended. I'm thinking. Often we hear the statements, or people in grief might feel, "Oh, come on, get over it." Or, "Come on, isn't it time to move on now?" Or, "Oh, come on, gee, surely you've had enough time to grieve." So very nice to say that. And I suppose, friends that might say that to you, they're saying that kind of out of care and concern. So they're not being malicious and harsh about it. It's just there's a bit of an understanding difference here, and that is that unless we are the person who is grieving, we don't know their grief journey. It is a grief journey, by the way. Now, what is grief? Well, the way I think about it, it's the way that our body deals with the fact that you can't turn love off. So you can't turn it off. So what happens to it? It's a very interesting question, that one, and it's one that I'm still coming to trying to work out for myself what that means. But basically, I think this song today provides a bit of an insight, because I'm thinking that the last thing we want to be saying to someone when they're grieving is, "Get over it," or "Isn't it time to move on?" Even if it's something small, you think it's just a small little loss, really, it's not much. Or it could be just a girl or a guy that's no longer around, and come on, get yourself out there, put yourself out in the market again, all that sort of thing. But the kiss is on my list, and I miss it when I turn out the light. Now, when we say we're missing something, sure, there is the sadness about the fact that it's no longer part of our world. But there's also some pleasantness in there, because we're remembering with fondness the kiss when you turn the light out. You're thinking, "Oh, that was really, really cool, that was really nice. I'm so glad that was in my world. It's not there now, though. I wish it was." So maybe as people, as friends who might know someone who's going through this stuff right at the moment, instead of just saying stuff like, "Well, come on, get over it, isn't it time to move on?" Perhaps it's more about getting them to explain and to talk to you about these feelings that they've got. Because just to merely say, "Get over it," isn't going to do anything really. The person's still got the kiss on this list, and he's still thinking about it. So maybe the best thing we can do is, instead of trying to get the person to move on, is to just share with them and talk with them about what made that kiss so special. Obviously, you're not going to get all of it, but you might get some feelings and some thoughts about what made it so nice, such an awesome part of his day. And then maybe the person might be thinking, "Oh, it's great that somebody else is actually also feeling the same. I don't have to feel like I'm constantly under attack because I'm not getting over something. I've actually got someone who's willing to sit and resonate with me about where I am right now." And then through that, the person, instead of just trying to get over it, perhaps they'll incorporate the experience, this beautiful moment that they had every day, into his experience moving forward. We should never try and take away people's past experiences, particularly when they're struggling with them, or particularly when they're really a beautiful part of their world. Let's not ask them to give those things up, but instead encourage them to take them forward as they look to the future. I think one of the things about grief, and sometimes there can be guilt in grief, where you're thinking, well, I don't want to get over that person because I feel like I'm betraying them, I'm betraying their memory. Well, maybe the answer is that we don't need to give it up. We don't, but on saying that, we move forward. We don't just kind of get stuck in that area, but at the same time, we move forward with the memories and with those pleasant thoughts and everything else. And then they become part of our experience. So if I was speaking to Darryl Hall and John Oates as they wrote this song, I'd be thinking, gee, that must have been a really beautiful time every night to have that happen. Gee, tell me more about her. What made her so special? And you know, how are you feeling now about it? And have no judgment about where they need to be or anything like that. Just sit and listen. And for somebody in grief, that is one of the best things we can do. We don't want to pretend like the reason for the grief is gone. We need to just acknowledge it was part of their life and they want to hold on to it a little bit. Obviously, if it's getting in a situation where there's some concerning things happening, like there might be some obsession, or there might be, you know, going back to the same place every day, and stuff that seems a bit more than memories, well then perhaps there needs to be someone they can go and talk to about that, because certainly counsellors are really good at being able to keep the memories alive, which need to be there, but at the same time be able to look at the future as well. Life is full of memories. Life is full of precious moments. Life is full of things that we just continue to carry with us. And I liken it a little bit like a suitcase that we put things in and we carry that suitcase with us. And just magically and somehow that suitcase just grows and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the same time, gets easier and easier to carry. So there we go. Always ask people about their journeys, ask people about their stories, ask people about the stuff that they remember, because that is what we need to be able to say more than anything else. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today. So on to the clips. Yes, we do have Kiss is on my list. Now, Darryl Hall would play piano and lead sing, and John Oates would play the guitar and do some backup vocals. Of course, one of the hallmarks of this particular duo was how good their band was behind them. They needed to be good, very tight. There's some really innovative chord progressions in the Darryl Hall and John Oates songs, and so these guys just had to keep up. And so characterised by incredible harmonies, great licks, great melodies, great words, just an all-encompassing act, Darryl Hall and John Oates. And I'm feeling this live clip of Kiss on My List really just emphasises all of that. Such a compelling act on stage, and well worth the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2014. We then got Private Eyes. This came off the 1981 album of the same name. So it looks like there are two albums in 1981, right? So that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. This is the official clip, and I suppose this is just typical 1980s. This is what the 1980s clips were like. You've got to admire the bravery. You've got to admire the storytelling. You've just got to admire the whole thing about the 80s. People weren't scared to be themselves and to do just what they needed to do, and that was really cool. And so Private Eyes is there. That's the official clip on that one. We then got Out of Touch. This came off the 1984 album Big Bang Boom. This is a live version of this one, and you'll get to see these guys on stage. A couple of other Hall & Oates songs I can think of. Man Eater was another song. She's Gone is just a couple more I can think of. I'm sure there's, well, much as 63 singles, there's the ones I could remember. And so the clips to those three videos are in. The links to those three videos are in the description below. That's where you'll always find my links. And I've also included my last video from Darlene Zschech. So if you want to recap on that one, feel free. Well, that's it for today. For those of you who have come back for another video, welcome back to the channel. This is the first time, the Life Reflections for Music. Welcome, and I trust everybody will just come back for more, because there's certainly much more to go in this series. In fact, we're going to start to get onto the Davids of this series. And of course, when you think about a David with a name at the beginning of the alphabet, you go straight to David Bowie. And so that's where we're going next time. We'll probably give him a couple of videos given his significance in the world. So until then, I'll catch you around.